and welcome back to Jen and Dan's Natural Healing with Plants, the go-to podcast for holistic health seekers looking to harness the power of nature for health and healing. I'm Jen. I'm a passionate health educator, a whole food plant-based culinary coach, and a master herbalist. And I'm here with Dan, who is also a wonderful master herbalist and an exercise specialist. Together, we dive into the world of natural healing. We bring you a wealth of knowledge and practical advice. And we draw from both traditional wisdom and modern science with herbs and foods to help you achieve optimal health. So this week I'm going to talk about a class I've been taking. I've been taking classes through Harvard's lifestyle medicine, and they talked a lot about diet yesterday. So I immediately reached out to Dan and said, we have got to talk about diet. Of course, we love talking about food and plants and maybe the pros and cons of all the diets that are out there. What's the best one for health and longevity, for healing as well? Should we follow plant-based, Mediterranean, a raw foods diet, a ketogenic diet? A lot of people are doing carnivore and finding relief, or flexitarian. And then what have the natural healers, Dan and I went to the School of Natural Healing, if you're new to our podcast, they call the mucusless diet. So is that something we should follow? So today we're going to talk about the similarities, the differences, and I think you'll be surprised at what is common among a lot of them, despite what we're seeing in all the social media. And unfortunately, most of my clients do follow advice off of social media. And so I just think it's really important that we address this. But before we dig in, the information that we share in this podcast is intended for educational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent. We are not giving you a nutrition prescription. The content discussed should not be considered medical advice and is not a substitute for professional medical care. Always consult with your personal physician or qualified healthcare provider before making changes to your diet, supplements, medications, or healthcare routine. So, where should we start this discussion, Dan?
Well, let's list off some of the diets that are going around the internet, or some. And some of these are have science behind them, and
Mhm.
some of them are more influence based. So, of course, we teach about the plant-based diet, but a
Right.
big one now is the Mediterranean diet. And I'm not, that's probably one of the better diets out there right now, in my opinion, because it does have science behind it.
Yes, yes. The only drawback I have with the Mediterranean diet is a lot of people stress oils and they think they need to have a lot of oil. One.
Yeah, yeah.
And two, Mediterranean is a huge region of all sorts of different foods. So it's really hard to categorize that into one category.
Yeah, it is to,
Mhm.
there's a lot of variations of it. So yeah, the oil thing, like they still push the olive oil, and I think there's a group of people who are drinking olive oil
Yeah, I've
thinking
seen people on TikTok actually lifting up the plastic clear bottle of oils. And so, and we don't want to get into oil debates, but as a lot of people have pointed out, a extra virgin cold pressed olive oil is not the same as a highly processed GMO vegetable oil in a plastic container.
not at all. And you're just going to gain weight. If you drink oil, you're going to gain weight.
Yes. Yeah, no matter what the diet. Yeah, so that's really important too. Yes. So Dan and I both think you should get your fats from plants. There are plenty of fats and plenty of plants, and they're your essential fatty acids. And as a matter of fact, in the Harvard class yesterday, that is one of the things they talked about is getting your fats from your plants and focusing on the polyunsaturated fats and the monounsaturated fats as well, how those were important. And you get those from nuts and seeds, um, and things like that.
Yes, instead of the olive oil, eat the olives. The olives are pretty good.
Yes, have your olives, have your avocados. Right. Yeah, so Mediterranean diet, I think, is we hear more and more and more about Mediterranean diet. There's a plant-based Mediterranean diet.
Yeah.
You could do an oil-free Mediterranean diet. Some people do push lots of fish, and there are some reasons why I would not push a lot of fish. We hear a lot about it being so healthy, but it's the fatty fish, the really fatty, cold water fatty fish. And so those are not present everywhere, and they're a little harder to get. And we had to be careful about mercury and toxins that are also showing up, and plastics showing up so high in our fish today.
Yes. So another diet we're going to talk about, and then this one, the raw food, plant-based diet is, for me, it's more of a healing diet. Like if I were to come down with some kind of disease,
Hmm.
I think that I would go more raw food. It's just a harder diet to stay on, especially in the winter.
That's true. And I think that it really does have to be personalized. Some people who have digestive issues
Yeah.
do better with more cooked foods and less raw foods. Um, and depending on what the illness is. And like you said, it's hard to do it in winter because they're very cooling. Eating a raw foods diet is a very cooling diet. And so if we need to warm the body, we need to see what's going on in the body. If we need to warm things, then a raw foods diet may not be right. And what I've found is a lot of people who do a raw foods diet do one that is a very higher on the glycemic load. I don't know another way to say that. Um, where even though it's all whole foods, you can overeat some of those higher glycemic, especially like the tropical fruits. They have wonderful nutrition in them. They have tons and tons of vitamin C and things like that, beta carotene, things like that. But if you eat too many of that, that can put too much, that can raise your blood sugar too much.
Another problem I see with some people's version of
Mhm.
the raw food diet is they eat a lot of coconut oil, a lot of oils
Oh, true.
and
Yeah, a lot
nuts,
high
and
oil. Yeah.
you can gain weight. I mean, you so
Right.
a lot of raw food is, and I'm not picking on them,
No, no.
but they
And
do think, yeah,
yeah,
they think if they eat a bunch of raw that they can eat a lot of coconut oil. No, this isn't all of them.
that's true. That's true. And another thing that I see a lot of people with eating raw foods. So I have eaten a mostly raw food diet. I find I do better with some cooked. But what I find is a lot of people it's just too unbalanced. They're not getting their nutrient needs met. They're eating
Mhm.
more mono meals or minimally like maybe not even mono meals, but kind of the same thing every day. And they're too small, like not eating enough because there's so much fiber that they're feeling full. So not eating enough. And then they're not eating a wide enough variety, which is really hard, easy to do. It's because everything in the produce department you could eat. Right. And so you could get tons and tons of variety, but if you're not eating it in the right balance, and including your omega-3 nuts and seeds and things like that, it's easy to end up with some deficiencies or insufficiencies, I should say.
Yes, it's a tough one. You have to definitely plan it if you're going to try to do that diet.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay, so the keto diet, that's another one, the keto diet, and I do think it has science behind it. I think it was designed for epilepsy originally.
Right,
And I mean, there's definitely different ways you can do the keto diet, isn't it? A keto diet is higher in fat, lower in protein, correct?
right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and very low in carbs. And so a lot of people do this when eating a lot of meat. They think that low carb means high meat. And they eat almost a carnivore type diet eating keto. And it really isn't that high in protein.
Yeah.
And it's not right for everyone either, especially in that way. Like if you're eating a high fat diet, we have to look at you and your genetics and your um, disease, your family history. Because someone with certain genetics, higher LDLs, higher chance of Alzheimer's, heart disease, things like that, all that fat can be way too much for you. A lot of saturated fat, especially if you're eating meats, and coconut oils and things like that. That can be too much saturated fat, and that can raise inflammation and increase heart disease risks as well. There's also plant-based keto. The doctor I work for, Dr. Rita Marie, she eats a plant-based keto and teaches a plant-based keto where high in greens. And so we focus on getting lots of minerals in the body, lots of minerals first and greens and things that are great for the heart. But like I said, that can still be too high in saturated fat. And so we really have to look at the person to decide if that's right for them. And then some people do better with more carbohydrates. I am one of those people. My blood numbers, I do have markers for Alzheimer's and saturated fat in my genetics. And so I do try to avoid those things. And if I eat more of a plant-based keto, then my LDL will go up. All my lipids will go up. But when I eat beans and resistant starches, mine come down. And so it really does have to be individualized.
Yes, and I don't think there's enough fiber in some of these versions of the keto diet because
Right.
it says it's 90% fat. That's what the medical supervisors, they want you to eat 90% fat. So
Wow.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Crazy.
And it would be boring. Like, even if let's say if it was plant-based, you would be eating a lot of avocados, a lot of nuts. Um, I don't know. That's really the only way you could do it. If it's supposed to be low protein, they're gonna be relying on a lot of nuts and seeds, and I
Nut
guess,
seeds, nut butters.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Nut-based yogurts. Yeah, to get
Oh,
full, to get enough calories.
yeah.
Yeah.
Heavy cream. This is saying that they can have heavy cream. Like, come on now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And fatty fish. Okay, so
Right. Yeah, there's some things that can be beneficial, but not all of it. And so we have to look at the whole diet and how they can balance it to get, because the most important thing is that you get your nutrients, your vitamins and minerals. And so many people just look at the macros or track the calories, but are you meeting your needs as far as um, your essential fatty acids and your minerals and your vitamins and things like that?
and I'm like you. Every time I've tried low carb, my
Hmm.
energy just tanks. I can't do it. My energy, my strength,
Hmm. Yeah.
and it's amazing. If you do it for a while, I've done low carb diets. You don't realize how, weak you've gotten until you eat some more carbohydrates. They're like, oh wow. I was
Yeah, now I feel
surprised
better.
myself with the energy. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
So another one, this one is a lot of media around it, and I don't think there's a whole lot of science behind this one. The carnivore diet.
Yes, and so many. I've lost clients who did not believe what I taught and are now eating carnivore, and it makes me so sad because I don't know what's going to happen around the corner. And it goes right along with the MAHA, Make America Healthy Again, upside down pyramid that was released. And we have another podcast where we talked about that, but it's strongly plant-based. It does do some things that are beneficial for some people short term. It removes processed foods. It removes a lot of common trigger foods. And so those, yes, we don't need that in any diet. But it limits plants, it limits fiber, it limits phytonutrients. I just don't know how you can get the right essential fatty acid balance is high in saturated fats. I also don't know how you can not end up with dysbiosis, the microbiome. You're not feeding the right things to the microbiome. And I don't know how you can get all of your minerals and vitamins that you need in a day on a carnivore diet. I think short term, it helps to remove some things that can be creating inflammation in some people. So they start feeling better because they cut out those processed foods. But you can't do it long term. Like short term, yes, maybe you're going to lose some weight, you're going to reduce some inflammation, but you're also going to end up constipated and insufficient in lots of minerals and other nutrients that are so important for the body, and especially when it comes to healing and repairing tissue.
There's also a lot of to me pseudoscience, like the people who promote it, they talk about plants being poisonous to the human body because of the oxalates and they
Exactly.
claim that's what's causing the health problems. It's not based on anything that's factual. So it's anything like that kind of ticks me off because you can hurt people, especially if you're an influencer.
Yes. Yes.
If
Because
your main concern is notoriety and making money, expense to your audience health, then I'm not for you. So
definitely, definitely not. Definitely not. Yes, there's so many people they could have 1 million followers and they're telling people to do these things that are so harmful for their body. And they don't understand the harmful effects of self, excuse me, or they don't understand how to move forward with it. Or they're saying, "Hey, I'm getting all these hits. I need to keep saying these things," and without even understanding the drawbacks.
I was introduced to an Instagram page called Carnivore Cringe,
Hmm.
and I guess they set it up to promote the diet as something good, but what happened is a lot of the people who are following it, they go into the page, they say, "Look, I'm having this health problem and this is happening to me, and it's because of the diet." Like the cholesterol be like way up to 300, 400, and they'll say, "Oh, that's fine." Whoever, because they'll try to say that it's okay to have high cholesterol and all these things. It's all, and some guys say I can't go to the bathroom anymore. What can I do? And they'll tell them to eat. I think more. I think it's lard or something.
Oh
I
my
don't know.
gosh. Tallow, probably.
Oh, yes.
Yes, they're very high on the tallow.
Yeah. I just. Ugh. Anyway,
Yeah,
but people are going to do what they're going to do. I just wouldn't recommend eating that diet because I do believe long term or even short term, you're going to have problems.
exactly. Yeah,
Nobody's ever eaten like that anyway. I don't care. They try to say our ancestors ate that way. No, they didn't. How do you think a caveman could eat like, I don't know, 5 pounds of meat a day? Come on now.
right,
You have
right,
to be ugh,
right.
anyway.
If that's saying that they can hunt and kill animals, that it's that easy. It's easy to just go out and kill something to eat that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not. Right.
Well, if you do any kind of research, you realize ancestors were, was it famine and feast? So a lot of times they were hungry.
Yes, yes. And they may eat a lot of meat for a few days in a row because
Yeah.
they didn't have ways to store and preserve the meats, but they'd eat it then, and then they would go several days without the meat. They'd be eating the tubers and the berries and the twigs and the leaves, and the vegetation in between.
Yeah, so it's way different eating meat
Right.
1 or 2 days and then plant-based, a few days. Doing this every single day. I mean, I've seen plates on, some kind of on YouTube or TikTok where it's like a huge piece of steak with butter on top of it.
Yes, I had a friend who posted, I think it was pork chops with 2 eggs. I can't remember what the third item was, but I was like, that is the most disgusting. That was the breakfast. Pork
Oh,
chop with 2 eggs, pork chops, and something else. It was another animal product. And I thought, number one, I wouldn't be able to function if I ate that. My belly, ugh. And number two,
oh Lord.
in no way I'd go to the bathroom after eating something like that. Yeah. And so that's horrible. And then I have another one that posted the other day. It was like sausage wrapped in bacon. That was lunch.
Any cardiologist worth his weight would say, if you eat that way, you're gonna have problems.
It makes me want to cry. Right. Right.
Well, they also play to people's desires, like a lot of people I've noticed they want to hear what they, something, the truth about what they want. Like, hey, this is
Right.
the way I want to eat. So they'll go find somebody say, yeah, it's perfectly okay to eat that
Yes,
way.
I have clients like that. Yes, they keep going to other people, other people, other people, having more tests, trying to get it to say what they wanted to say.
Mhm.
Yes, Dr. Clapper always says people like to hear good things about their bad habits, and it's true.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is true.
tell me all the good reasons why I should keep doing what I don't, what I everyone else is telling me not to do, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about the mucusless diet, which is a terrible name. But that is kind of what we learned at the School of Natural Healing. So let's talk about that some.
Well, the mucus diet, Dr. Christopher, that's the one that he taught, and his theory was, I do believe the theory that a lot of foods they cause mucus, development in the body. And I'm gonna be honest here, I've never followed the mucus diet that closely, even though I went to the school. I've always been plant-based. But the last few months, Amy and I decided to, do more mucus. So we've gotten rid of rice, and that's really the only grain we're eating. And
Mhm.
she was always very mucusy. And long story short, it's helped her with her mucus problem. And where she's not even doing it completely the right way. But it's a plant-based diet. I mean, it's a form of a plant-based diet where, and the thing is, I never could figure out. He'll let you have a little bit of fish and a little bit of chicken every week, but when you looked at his protocols, he never talked about eating that. Did you ever notice that?
Yeah, there was never mentioned eating it. It wasn't in any of the cookbooks or recipes or anything either. Yeah, and I do want to let people know that we should have mucus. We need mucus to line everything. We need mucus to trap viruses and bacteria in the nose and things like that. But what we're talking about is foods that make that increase. We shouldn't have an excess amount of mucus.
Yeah, definitely we get rid of dairy. I just think I don't believe dairy is good for the humans. I don't think
It's
well,
very,
like, there's a lot of lactose intolerance in the world and people.
in the class yesterday, um, Walter Willett talked about it, and he said the same thing that we've heard several other plant-based people say, and that is milk is designed for fast growth. It is
Yep.
designed, especially when we're drinking like cow's milk, even human milk is designed to grow a baby to its, 1 year developed, walking, talking, to go from tiny to big. The cow's milk, though, we're going up to 800, 1,000 pounds really fast in 1 year. And we don't need that high growth, number one, in our body beyond a certain age, and especially when we're adults. When we think about growth, do you want something to grow in your body? Maybe you're trying to build muscles and grow muscles, but we don't want any other growths going on in our body. We always have little cancers in our body. Our body's set up to wrap, destroy, and remove those. However, when we're having dairy, we're putting those hormones, I'm not talking about added hormones, the natural hormones that occur in breast milk, because that's what we're drinking, the cow's breast milk, that is high in hormones that produce growth. So you drink that, then you are increasing the chances of cancer growth. So anyone with the risk of cancer needs to avoid dairy. And number one, to avoid the milk, because you don't want that growth. But if you're eating things like cheese is condensed, it is compressed milk. So there's much, much higher amounts of hormones in the cheese. So if you have something, a growth, you definitely do not want any kind of dairy. Another thing that I'm expanding on what he said. He didn't say all of that, but he did say that it is definitely increases cancer risk. But another thing he said was cow's milk is much, much, much higher in calcium than human milk. And when we go back and look at studies of people who are worried, they think they need to have dairy because of fracture rates, for frailty, things like that. When we look at the countries that don't have dairy, they have a much lower fracture rate than we do. And he doesn't know why we have so many people thinking that calcium is what's so important for the bones. There's so many other things that are important for bones. Number one is strength training, that we need to focus more on strength training and less trying to get calcium from cow's milk, because then that just throws off the entire spectrum. If you only focus on calcium for your bones, then you're increasing more fracture risk.
And it's not just the hormones in the milk that causes cancer. It's got a lot of casein protein. And you
Yes.
remember, was it Dr. Campbell? He did a research study on that.
Yes.
And casein accelerates cancer growth.
Yes. And if you want more research on that, look up the China study.
Yeah. And
Yes.
prostate health. There's a lot of studies over the years that link dairy to enlarged prostate problems.
Yes. Any of the hormone related cancers, prostate, breast cancer, ovarian cancer, um, uterine cancer, all of those are increased with dairy.
So that's one of the foods that the mucus diet omits. Another one, eggs.
Yes, no eggs. And he didn't even mention eggs yesterday. Oh, he
Eggs are a
did.
hot topic.
He
Did
did.
he?
He did. Not every day, but a few eggs a week. So Dr. Willett was talking about more of a flexitarian, a
Oh,
Mediterranean type diet.
yeah.
Yes, and did say a few eggs a week may be okay. He also said no more than one animal product a day if you have one a day.
And of course, did he mention portion size of animal product?
He did not, but
Okay,
it's
well, that's an
today.
important fact. Do I?
They're still
Because
today. Yeah, I'm only
okay,
halfway through
so
the conference. Yes.
I mean, somebody would take that. Okay, I can have one animal product. I'll have a 1 pound
A
porterhouse
giant
today.
porterhouse, yeah. Now, that's not it either, because he also said, red meat. Red meat is the most harmful. And another thing is definitely stressed so going back to carnivore, how that would lead to type 2 diabetes, that they're showing red meat especially, how it leads to type 2 diabetes.
Yeah, the saturated fat,
Yeah.
that's one problem.
Yeah, so all these people thinking they're going carnivore and keto, they're actually increasing their type 2 diabetes risks.
So another food in the mucus diet, it was salt and sugar. Of course, we don't do a lot of that. No sugar. And he talked about not having a lot of salt,
Hmm.
which you have to have a little bit of salt in your diet because it's a necessary sodium is necessary electrolyte, but you don't want to overdo it.
Right. Right. And you can get natural salts from your greens, especially like celery. And so I do agree. I do use a sea salt. I put it on my foods after I cook. I don't use salts when I'm cooking. Um,
Yeah.
but I agree. The adrenals need salt. We do get some minerals if it's a whole salt. If it's a white table salt that's highly processed, it's only sodium and chloride, and that is not healthy. So make sure you're using a real salt.
I know he would recommend, back in his day, it was Norman Walker, I think, had a product that was a kelp.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, it was, oh my gosh, some kind of spice, but it had kelp in it. So you can get your iodine and things from that. It's hard to find. Well, you were telling me something was at Maine Coast. They
Yeah,
make
Maine
something
Coast
like that.
Foods has a sea salt with sea vegetables in it. So it looks like salt
Yeah.
and pepper, but it just tastes like salt and it does have the sea vegetables in it. And I just thought of an Herbamare. Herbamare also has
Mhm.
um, some sea vegetables in it, I believe.
So basically, to make it more simple, the Mucusless diet, it was basically you're going to eat fruits and vegetables, whole grains, and nuts and seeds. Now, whole grains I know are a big topic. Even with the whole grains, he didn't recommend rice. He didn't really recommend brown rice because he had his theory that it's not that great for you.
Right.
But he believed in wheat, which we don't do that because
No.
maybe in his day it wasn't. There's an argument about gluten. They say that it's not the gluten, it's a glycophosphate that's sprayed on the crop. You hear people say, I have a gluten intolerance, but I go to Italy and I can tolerate their wheat. I don't know what to believe on that. I just don't eat it.
Right. Um, One of the notes I took about that yesterday was they said no refined grains.
Yeah.
Well, if you're eating the wheat berries, the
Yes.
whole grains of wheat as a grain, then maybe that could be okay for you if you're not celiac or non-celiac. But if it's not, if it's processed into a flour, guess what? That's a refined grain.
Yes, I remember one of those recipes where you put wheat berries in a thermos overnight. So that's
Mhm.
totally different because if it's not broken down.
Yeah, I've done that with oats, oat groats,
Yeah,
and with quinoa. And I know
uh,
another woman from our class, she does that regularly. Yeah,
it's good, right?
right, right.
Yeah.
And that way you're getting the real whole grain. Now, he did say yesterday that whole grains are not essential.
Well, I guess there's some truth to that if you're eating plenty of fruits and vegetables and
Yeah, and legumes.
yeah,
Yeah, you can
and
get the
well,
starches and the B vitamins from the
yeah.
legumes. Yeah.
I don't eat, I mean, I don't really eat that many grains either. I might have some
I eat
quinoa.
oats. Yeah, I
Yeah, I
have
do
oats.
oats.
I used to well, and then quinoa and buckwheat are not actually grains.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's different. I'm sensitive to those, so I don't eat them probably because I ate too many of them, going gluten free. But yes, yes, I love that. So, before we run out of time, let's talk about what is common among all of the plans. One, they're all whole foods.
Yeah.
They're all whole foods, no refined foods. Even if we're looking at carnivore, keto, if you're eating a real one. We didn't talk about paleo either, but those are just real whole foods, no processed foods, no packaged baked goods. Now, I do know a lot of people that eat like keto muffins, keto English muffins, keto waffles. That is a highly processed food. No one should be eating that, no matter what your diet. Um, Most of them are high in fiber except for carnivore. Carnivore is not high in fiber, and some keto diets are also not high in fiber. Most of them are high in phytonutrients except for carnivore and some forms of keto. It depends on what type of keto. And so you can kind of see where I'm going with this. Most of them
Yeah.
support the microbiome except carnivore and except some keto. And most of them support cardiovascular health except for keto and carnivore. So
Yeah.
whole food
So there's that.
plant-based, yeah, is definitely great for all of them. So Mediterranean diet, whole foods diet. What else I don't remember all the foods. Raw food diet. It's a whole foods diet, right?
Yeah. So we're eating real food again. I mean, a big problem with the diet in America and other industrialized countries is people are relying on processed foods. And processed foods are not natural. They have only been in the human population for, I don't know, maybe 100 years or less.
Right.
And they're just not, the body doesn't know what to do with them. They're full of chemicals. So really, we were meant to, I don't feed my dog. I'm not going to get on a rant here, but so even dogs, all this high-priced dog food on the shelves, it's still processed food.
Right.
And it
Right.
will make your dog sick too. I've seen it. I don't feed my dogs that. Every species, we need whole foods. I mean, a dog in the wild's not going to go eat kibble,
No.
you know. It's
Right.
going to find roadkill.
Real Whole Foods. Shop from the produce department. They used to say shop the perimeter of the grocery store. Don't go down the aisles, except for dried beans. Your beans and nuts
Yeah.
and seeds, they may be in the aisles. Now they have them all. They're on to us. They have you going down the aisles. But so for us, for Dan and I, we both eat a whole food diet. We eat more of the mucusless diet, so we don't eat wheat. Neither one of us eats gluten. We're both gluten free. And I am 100% whole foods. Raw foods diet. Not everyone can tolerate a lot of raw foods. And there you do need to look at what you're eating to get the right balance of nutrients. It's possible, high in water, very hydrating, lots of vitamins and minerals, but you do want to make sure you're getting the right balance of fats and enough nutrients, enough calories. Keto can help with some things depending on how it's eaten. There's so many different ways to eat it. Number one, remove all the processed foods. Don't eat processed keto. And number two, make sure you're eating greens. Greens can definitely fit a keto diet, but you need to be high green so you get enough fiber and minerals and maintain proper bowel movements.
Yes, and
And it is missing resistant starches. And so that is the biggest thing, making sure you're having bowel movements. But I don't know how you can keep your inflammation down and keep your lipids down without some resistant starches.
it's impossible. I mean, for me, if I had a client,
Hmm.
it's just, you know, for me, a balanced diet. For me, a balanced diet, you're going to have your fruits and your vegetables and your nuts and your seeds. And the whole protein debate, I mean, I have tofu and beans and hemp seeds for my protein. Now, some people think you have to have a piece of meat, but I'd rather see somebody have a small piece of meat and everything else is plant-based than somebody that, I mean, like the keto diet, look, that's going to be hard to follow.
Right.
It's not balanced. You got to have fiber.
Yes. Rolls us into carnivore. Carnivore is great in
Oh,
that it removes processed foods. It's great that it removes trigger foods, but is too low in plant diversity, is too low in fiber, is too low in phytonutrients. And so while it may feel good and you may lose weight, you're going to end up constipated and with dysbiosis in the gut, which is going to eventually lead to disease.
yeah, there's some huge influencer. He's a carnivore diet dude,
Hmm.
and he was on it for a few years. And he come out and said, "Look, I had to add, you know, berries and fruit." Well, no, because you couldn't take a crap, okay?
Right, right. You've got to have those vegetables. You have to have them, right?
Yeah,
So
it's going to
all,
catch up to you.
yes, all of these diets here, they all help with removing the processed foods, help with becoming intentional about what you're eating. They all reduce sugar, most improve blood sugar, um, just by removing processed foods. You have a better chance of sleeping better. Maybe you feel lighter and can move more, have more energy. I know when I went whole food plant-based, I couldn't believe the energy I had
Yeah,
for me. Yeah. And most of my clients say that too. And all of them help with reducing inflammation, at least in the beginning, but it needs to be sustainable. And so whatever changes you make, you need to make sure that they're going to be sustainable for you. Um, so to summarize what we think is the healthiest diet, more plants, herbs for flavor and antioxidants, more greens, more fiber, lots of color. My number two rule is eat the rainbow. Making sure you're eating whole foods.
that sums it up. And I'm glad you said that because I've been whole food plant-based now for it's probably 13 or 14 years.
Yeah,
And I felt like yesterday I was cleaning up a tree in my yard and it was hot. I'm thinking, I'm bouncing around. I have so much, I'm 40, I have so much energy. And it's got to be this diet, you know?
right. Yeah, me too. I can't believe, and during these classes, I just have to move the computer with me because I just have to move. I can't sit
Yeah,
still. I mean, I need to move. I have tons and tons of energy. I'm in my 50s. I am postmenopausal, and I can't believe how much energy I have. And I credit it to this. You know, all my friends and clients, they all talk about hot flashes. I never had hot flashes. And I think
yeah.
it's because I was eating a healthy, whole food, plant-based diet coming into perimenopause and menopause. And so even for that, and I think that's really important. Anyway, we have lots more to talk about diet, and I will take lots of notes today. So we'll share some more on another episode. But I want to thank you for joining us today on Natural Healing with Plants. To find out more about Dan, go to danthenaturalman.com. And to find out more about me, I am at holisticjen.com, WHOLISTICJEN.com. If you enjoyed this episode, hit subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone else who can benefit from this information. If you didn't agree with us, if you think we said something wrong about your diet, because diets are almost like a religion, we get heated about it. We want to hear about that too. We love to hear from you. So have a great week, and we will see you next time.